So not only we got the Regalia cards today without Minerva, unfortunately, we got the actual overdress mechanic revealed, and also Nightmare dolls have been revealed with monthly Pushy Road. So let's begin. But first, cards from the last few days. I'm going to start off with the Nightmare dolls from monthly Pushy Roads, with the first one being Nightmare Doll Abigail. Grade 1, AK power, and its skills. Auto Vanguard when placed, Soul Charge 1. Why can't this skill be rearguard 2? We have a bunch of these type of skills already, and this one's restricted to Vanguard. But whatever, second skill. Auto rearguard at the end of your turn costs retire this unit, return 1 grade 3 work ward from your soul, and add it to your hand. And if your Vanguard is a workroid, countercharge 1. Nice countercharging, that's easy for the Nightmare Doll deck, but returning a grade 3 workroid, that's actually very good. Because Carol's a thing, and you can rewrite her every single turn for her superior ride. Next, Nightmare Doll Marissa. Grade 2, 9k power, and its skills. Auto Vanguard rearguard when placed from hand costs. Put a card from your hand to your soul, look at top 7 cards from your deck, reveal up to 2 non-grade 2 workroids from among them, and put them to your hand. Pretty nice, can filter soul, and gives you a search for needed cards. Especially your main workroid cards that you're gonna want are actually gonna be grade 3, so the non-grade 2 part is not much of an issue. So of course this is definitely a 4 of. Finally, Nightmare Doll Chelsea. Grade 3, 12k power, XL, and its skills. Auto Vanguard at the end of the battle that this card attacked costs counterblast 1, go up to 2 workroids from your soul to rearguard. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, of course they get plus 10k power until the end of the turn. I'll give my thoughts later. Second skill, Auto Rearguard. At the end of the battle that this card attacked, if your Vanguard is workroid, costs. Put this to soul, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, put that unit to soul. Alright, the first skill calling 2 workroids from your soul to rearguard may sound underwhelming until you realize how much combos that you can do with them. Your main attack card that you want is Alice, and Alice, of course, after when it attacks, you can put itself to soul to superior call another card that is not a grade 3, which will of course be additional attack. And of course the second skill is pretty decent because it puts itself into soul, which will clear up space for its first skill. And there's also a card like Carol, where you can superior ride this card in the middle of battle. Just for more multi-attack, and of course with the new grade 1, you can return the Carol back to your hand so you can ride it again next turn as well. So yeah, a lot of combos you can do with this card, and definitely good support for the archetype. And now for our Regalia cards, our first card is Regalia of Dedication VAR. Grade 1 AK power and its skills. Auto rearguard. When this card attacks or boosts, you may put a card from the soul face down on this unit as Divine Gauge. Alright, not too bad, and you do have Divine Gauge protection in this deck. Second skill, Act Rearguard. Once per turn, cost discard 1 Divine Gauge from this unit, Soul Charge 3, then if your Vanguard was Regalia, retire this unit, countercharge 1. Pretty useful considering that you're going to be using quite a bit of soul for your Divine Gauges, and using another card to give this card the Divine Gauge isn't that hard, so replenishing those resources is going to be pretty important, and it's nice for that countercharge. Next, Regalia of Exorcism 3rd. Grade 2, 10k power and its skills. Auto rearguard. When placed, you may put a card from your soul face down to this unit as Divine Equip Gauge. Pretty nice, of course, expands your Divine Equip Gauges. Second skill, Auto rearguard. At the end of the battle that this card attacked or boosts, remember Yggdrasil is a thing, costs. If this unit has 1 or more Divine Gauges, move all of its gauges to another rearguard, and then put this card to soul to draw a card. Moving the gauges is fine. There are some cards that will be using gauges as a cost, especially Norn, so this is pretty helpful. And putting itself to soul to cycle itself for a draw can help you get some more soul, so it's okay. But the most important part about this card is that it transfers gauges. And now to the Tuesday stream. Let's start off with the main card of the video, Regalia of Wisdom Angelica. Grade 3, 13k power, force, and its skills. Count Vanguard. All of your rearguards with Divine Gauge cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effect and gets plus 5k power. Keep in mind that's both players' turns. So just like your Yggdrasil, this card gives protection for Divine Gauges. Second skill, Auto Vanguard. When this card attacks, choose 2 of your rearguards, put 1 card from your soul to each of them as Divine Gauge. Okay, so another copy and case of Yggdrasil essentially. Third skill, Auto Vanguard. At the end of your opponent's turn, cost discard 5 Divine Gauges, heal card from your damage zone. I really do not know what this card is really for. I mean, sure, you could spread out divine gauges and give them protection, but Regalia already does that. Except that that card calls her partner, which also supports her. I mean, sure, if you already have Norn on the field, then you don't really have much use for using its second skill to spread out its gauges. And you do have other divine gauge support that you can use with this. But honestly, all I could really say is that this card is pretty much a copy and paste of Yggdrasil. And now for the overdress stuff from Yu Yu's start deck, we're going to start off with his main starter Trickstar, which is not a Forerunner, and its skill is, it's a grade 0, 5k power, and its skill is, count, rearguard, this card cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. As much as this card is not that great, it is essential to be a 4 of, so you do actually want as much protection for this card as well. Because our next card, Verina, is a grade 2 with 10k power, with the overdress mechanic placed on it. So his overdress is for Trickstar, and how it works is, you place it on top of a designated unit that is on the card, and that's how you perform your overdress. So in this case, since it says Trickstar, you place this on top of Trickstar as you were normal calling it. This is not a normal call, but you place it like it's a normal call. And its skill is, auto rearguard, when this unit is in overdress, attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 10k power until the end of turn, then cost Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. Alright, pretty underwhelming, especially even with the overdress, but the 10k power is pretty nice. And then for some overdress rulings, the cards with overdress can still be normal called, or be superior called without performing the overdress. You cannot perform the overdress if the unit that you're doing it with is higher grade than your main Vanguard, because this is basically like normal calling. And the card under the overdress card is not considered a soul, it's called an original dress. If the overdress card is moved for any reason, the card under it will move along with it. Meaning if it's retired, it will also be going to the drop zone. If it goes to your hand, the card under it will also go to your hand, etc. Now the only question is how it's going to implement damage zone and lock. Because that would be OP if Angel Feathers could just put that card to the damage zone and then you suddenly just take 2 damage. And finally, if the overdress card was superior called, you cannot do an overdress with it, as you have to do it like it's a normal call. So meaning no cheating it out, which is what I kinda like actually. And finally, if you intercept with it, of course the card under it will move along with it, but you're still only getting the intercept shield value. So if your overdressed unit that you intercepted with is a 5k shield, it's only 5k shield. And now to the new boss card for Yu Yu, Chakrabarti Divine Dragon Nirvana, grade 3, 13k power, and its skill is, act Vanguard, once per turn, cost, discard a card from hand, choose a grade 0 from your drop zone, call it to your rearguard. Obviously, you want to use this to call Trickstar. And possibly other grade 0s because there is one that looks like an egg and it is possible that that will have an overdressed unit for it. Second skill, Auto Vanguard. When this card attacks, cost Counterblast 1. This and all units with overdress abilities gets plus 10k power until the end of turn. Alright, 10k might be quite a lot considering that we have less shield value, but considering that it's actually for overdress cards that pretty much have to be normal called to get its full value, and possibility there won't be too many overdressed units in a deck, I'll say this skill is fine. Of course, the important one is the first skill where you call grade 0 as you're going to set up your overdress right there. And next week we got some cards for Danji's start deck. Wondering if it's going to play similar to Spike Brothers. Alright, that's it for these reveals. What do you guys think about the new Nightmare Dolls, Regalias, and Overdress? Nightmare Dolls seems pretty fun. The Regalias, the support is fine, but Angelica itself, I really do not know what it's for. And the overdress mechanic's pretty interesting, considering that we finally got a rearguard related mechanic, because Vanguard related mechanics are getting quite overwhelming. Limit breaks, which also went with break rides, Legion, and then strides, and then we go to imaginary gifts. So after all those Vanguard related mechanics, I'm glad that we finally got a rearguard related mechanic because that's something I've been craving for quite some time. So at least that in premium, when you still play your deck, you can still use your Vanguard related mechanic, but also upgrade it with the rearguard related mechanic. Now, do I think overdress is going to be OP? No. It's probably going to be some kind of mechanic like Legion where it's for specific cards to unlock certain abilities. which was actually what I was expecting with overdress. Except how I was thinking it was going to be some sort of extra zone mechanic and it's going to be given to your Vanguard. But other than that, have a nice day.